virtual of Donald Trump by Vladimir Putin continues. Russia has just rejected Donald Trump's reported peace deal in Ukraine. Donald Trump had announced publicly during his campaign that he would stop the war in Ukraine, stop Russia's unlawful invasion, although he didn't call it that. He said the moment he was elected before his inauguration, or you can take it as him saying within 24 hours of being inaugurated, that there would be an end to the war. He said he was such a good negotiator that he would bring in Zelensky and bring in Putin, and he would say, you do this and you do that. He didn't say what this or that was. But right now, Vladimir Putin continuing to say no to Donald Trump and to set the terms of negotiations with Donald Trump. Now, when Donald Trump was elected, we reported how one of the first things they did on Russian TV, which Vladimir Putin controls, is show nude photographs of Melania, while the hosts, who are basically like oligarchs in Russia, were laughing in Donald Trump's face. That was Putin's first move to say, I own you, Donald Trump.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. I had something else planned for tonight. But I just came across some information that I thought would be a better podcast for us tonight. I want to talk about our president-elect and a lot of his failures, and one of them just became very public globally. His promise during his campaign that he was going to end the war in Ukraine within 24 hours of being elected. Or as they say, if he's going to use it as an excuse, that within 24 hours of going into office. Well, apparently in the background, our president-elect has been speaking with Sergei Lavrov and Mr. Putin, and he has made them an offer that we were not aware of. And Mr. Putin and Mr. Lavrov have very publicly stated that they want nothing to do with his offer, and they have turned him down. And basically, he had given them everything. He had given them a ceasefire. He had given them the land that they had already occupied in Ukraine. I'm sure Mr. Zelensky is happy that that got turned down, because I don't think he was consulted in this deal. He also offered to not allow Ukraine into NATO for the next 20 years, which, while he doesn't control NATO, he does control the U.S. vote for the next 4 years. That's the only promise he could have made. 20 years was ludicrous. Now, as most of you probably know, it only takes one vote of dissension in a UN resolution to bring a new country in, and that can hold people out. That's been done in the past. We've seen it done when Turkey didn't want to allow one of our latest members in, and we had to negotiate to get Turkey to go along with the program to bring. I'm embarrassed to say I don't remember the last country, and it was during the Ukraine war, but they were looking for coverage from Americans. But I digress. His offer not only was declined, it was ridiculed publicly on TASS, T-A-S-S, which is the Russian television station that's owned by the Russian government and controlled by Putin and the oligarchs like Lavrov and Kislyak. Not only did they do that, not only did they call him weak, they again showed nudes of Melania Trump, our president-elect's wife, who, it's no secret that she modeled before she got here. Come on. Everybody knows that. It's not like it's, over here in the United States, it's like, yeah, we don't think much of it, but they're using that as another chip in the bargaining table to degrade and ridicule as weak our president-elect. Some of you will remember that during his first administration, the very first person that he wanted to have in his office and he wanted to negotiate with and talk with was the Russian ambassador, which at the time was Kislyak. Now, tradition, each side has an interpreter. I'm sure The president-elect does not speak Russian. He barely speaks English in a tolerant manner. But I digress. There's security. There's people that listen. There's transcribers, secretaries that transcribe for both sides. And Mr. Trump excused everybody from the American side and would not allow witnesses to his conversation with Kislyak and the other gentleman that was there. Now, their interpreters were there, which I think was a smart move on their part, because they could have talked all they wanted, and you don't know what the interpreter's telling them is going on. But shortly after that meeting, it was disclosed that he not only didn't allow American witnesses and transcribers and interpreters, he also gave away some secrets about the Afghan war. He freely admitted that. He freely admitted that he gave Kislyak information on the Afghan war, stating that he was looking for his help fighting ISIS, which I see no reason why Russia would want to fight ISIS. Russia, as you can remember, decades ago was involved in the Afghan war, and they lost miserably. They gave up everything and walked away. There was even a Rambo movie made about it, which was just ridiculous. But those are facts. I mean, they were there before. They didn't make it. It's not much different than when the French fought Vietnam and didn't win, so we walked in and tried that, and we walked away losers. But I digress again. Mr. Kislyak was the benefactor of Mr. Trump's naivete, thinking that Mr. Kislyak was his friend and would carry messages of peace and well-being back to Mr. Putin. And now that we have the new president-elect coming back into power within less than about 3 weeks, I think it is, Mr. Putin has decided to show the world what he thinks of our president-elect by embarrassing him at every turn. He has declined the meeting. He has suggested that he has no use for a ceasefire. He finds that a ceasefire is a waste of time. He thinks Mr. Trump's ideas are wrong, and he thinks he should just go on and do what he wants to do. And he's even so much as brought in some of the North Korean army, which is a disaster in and of itself. What recent reports is that Russian troops fell under friendly fire from the North Korean troops because, one, they don't speak Russian and they don't speak Ukraine. They're there at best as cannon fodder. And again, you can take that with a grain of salt. Everyone's got their own opinion as to what's going on over there. We don't really know. None of us are on the ground. But it's not looking good. And when I said in another podcast, when Russia needs the help of North Korea with their debilitated army and their people that are undernourished and threatened that if they run or die over there, their families will die back in Korea. I thought Russia, when the Ukraine war was announced, I thought Ukraine had like maybe 13 seconds, and a comedian who became the president, Zelensky, which he was a comedian before this, he took over as president and he ran it like a real president. He ran it like a real boss, and even so desperate an act as to hand out ammunition and firearms to the general public to form an armed militia, which now launches drone attacks on Moscow, which now launches drone attacks on their ammunition and air bases, and is now dropping munitions on North Korean soldiers and Russian soldiers. So I don't think that Mr. Zelensky is ready to give up, nor is he willing to go along with our president-elect's idea. Obviously, Putin's not going to go along with it. So yet another broken promise. I mean, let's name them off. How is the price of your eggs right now? How's the price of your electric right now? You got everything you need in chips, because we don't have a chip manufacturing business running in this country yet either. All these promises were going to be made, or were made, I should say, and none of them have come through. And now, ending the Ukraine war, well, guess what? Ukraine's pretty well armed, seeing as how Biden just handed them $6.9 billion in aid that can't be pulled back. It's not like it's sitting there like last time when our president-elect could hold the money back and hold them hostage for it. Then the money's been delivered. It was delivered last week. Everybody knows that, So what have we got here? We've got tasks showing nudes of the president-elect's wife on TV. Putin and Lavrov both ridiculing him publicly on TV. And then when I'll say President-elect, our President-elect, put out a tweet on his, or Truth, I guess they call it, on his Truth Social, saying that he had spoken with Putin and that they were going to be talking again, that Putin wanted to have a conversation with him. Almost immediately, Lavrov and Putin both denied the fact that they had spoken to him, nor did they want to have a meeting with him. Okay, so besides the obvious implication of us looking like blithering idiots with this fascist clown at the head of our ship and leading us into different areas in deeper water, what do you think the rest of the world's thinking? I got a question. What do you think China's thinking? China's sitting there going, hey, I wonder what they're going to do. Kislyak is telling China that he thinks that our president-elect is going to lose interest in this and eventually go back home and hope it all goes away while he plays golf. And China's probably looking at that going, if they give up on Ukraine, I wonder if they'll give up on Taiwan, because we were wanting Taiwan for a long time and the United States keeps saying they're not going to let us have it. What about the rest of our people that we have treaties with? What about the rest of the people that share intelligence with us? You know, the Israelis. The Israeli intelligence services is literally the crown jewel of the world's intelligence service. Do you think they're going to want to share the information that they have and take a risk at losing their people and losing their credibility? Do you think the Five Eyes, which is MI6, the Israeli intelligence, the CIA, and a few other groups, do you think they're going to want to share with us? They're going to give us something, but are they going to give us the whole truth? No, I don't think so. I think what they're really going to do is they're going to laugh at us, tell us what they want us to know, and hope that we get over this in the next 2 years and turn him into a lame duck. Oh, by the way, there was one other thing. Putin did send a message openly during one of his ridicule sessions, basically becoming our president-elect's daddy and telling him that basically he didn't have the authority to negotiate. He was waiting to hear from Washington. Yeah, he's waiting to hear from Biden. Yeah, and I don't think Biden's going to be talking to him anytime soon. Biden's not going to turn into a bitch for him. Not like the president-elect or the co-president who's over in Germany right now trying to support the fascist right-wing group over there during their elections. You know, it's like our co-president, he wants to go around buying the people that he wants to run in countries so he can have what he wants. But I digress. This was about our president-elect. This was about our president-elect being owned, being made a bitch. Let's put it that way. It's the truth. He's been made a bitch by Lavrov and Putin, and now we're worried about what China and North Korea are thinking. Well, that's what I've got, folks. That's the latest. It's New Year's Eve. I'm wishing everybody out there a happy New Year. I hope we start out absolutely wonderfully. Last year was absolutely a beautiful year. Family and friends, people that are close to us and close to you. From my home to yours, Happy New Year. Thank you for being here. Good night.